Breaking news, a police pursuit has gone through Palmdale and Lancaster. The suspect is wanted for DUI and assault on a police officer, and that car was seen speeding more than 100 miles an hour.
Stu Mundell is overhead in Sky 2. Not sure if Stu can hear us, but Stu, go ahead if you can.
So we're up here in the Rosemont area, actually Kern County. This is a vehicle pursuit right now. Okay, who's in this car? That's the first question. We're not really sure. What brought us up here to the Antelope Valley was a vehicle driving recklessly earlier on. We heard a second pursuit going on, and this is a car. This is actually the second vehicle that these people were in. Originally, they were in an Optima, a Kia Optima, driving through the desert. They drove off through the desert onto a main road and carjacked this pickup truck by gunpoint. We saw a man and a woman get out of that out of the first vehicle, get into this pickup truck, and then continue on the streets. He's been driving on the roads, off the roads, and again, this is the second vehicle was taken by force with a weapon. Now, who's chasing him? Well, California Highway Patrol has gotten involved, and also the Sheriff's Department up here also involved. Right now, I have a feeling we do have the map up so you guys can actually see the streets that we're on. Also the speeds. Now, this person is basically taking this truck. Earlier on, he was in a Kia driving through the desert, just basically trying to get away from officers. The original one, well, this is getting difficult for us up here because originally we came out here and the vehicle descriptions were about the same. They were talking about a car driving high rate of speeds, driving towards officers, actually making contact with a sheriff's vehicle in the Palmdale area. Was that the same suspects? We're not sure because they had somebody they were taking somebody into custody towards the Quartz Hills area. Right now, though, we do know for a fact a man and a woman inside this pickup truck. They did carjack this from a man that was basically just parked on the side of the road, probably watching the smoke trail of that Kia driving through the desert. I'm going to go a little bit wider just to give you an idea of where we are. It is very much out in the middle of nowhere, as they would say. Officers from the California Highway Patrol, they are behind this vehicle once again. Armed suspects inside that stolen vehicle that was taken in a carjacking. We have tape of that. We'll get that probably to the station as soon as possible. But again, a very dangerous pursuit up here in the Kern County area this afternoon.
That is certainly wild. We're looking at the tracker above, and you can see those speeds over 100 miles an hour. And for goodness sakes, if this driver is wanted for driving under the influence, this makes this even more dangerous. We have information that possibly made contact with several cars, several other cars of drivers. Not only the assault on an officer, which would be them making contact with a police vehicle, as Stu just alluded to, and then to watch him just drive through the desert with this woman. We did see the carjacking. We might be able to get that picture back up of a car that was stopped on the road. Two people jumping out of, there we go, right there, jumping out of that Optima with a gun drawn and just making this man get out of that pickup truck, which is a good thing he did. And then they just took off across the desert, and now they're back on Rosemont Boulevard, Jeff.
Yeah, Rosemont runs east-west, and then they're going to just continue. If they continue east, they're just heading out into the desert. 107 miles an hour, luckily only dangerous to the two people in the truck because there aren't any other cars that we can see on there. And the CHP, when Stu pulled out, is following safely behind.
Okay, let's get back up to Stu. Stu, can you hear us?
Well, yes, and I'm so glad that you guys have all that information. I really mean that. I wasn't sure what we were sending earlier on. We are way out of our usual area. But again, this vehicle right now, it's just, we're not 100% sure that was the same car from earlier on. And the only reason I say that was, even though we were just watching it drive through the desert, basically hitting tumbleweed and other things, it didn't look that damaged. And we clearly heard them say earlier on that it was involved in multiple accidents, hitting multiple vehicles on 10th Street West near Palmdale Boulevard. So we're not sure if they were the same vehicle, but we definitely know that this vehicle, armed, and that person that's riding with that driver right now, a female, appeared to be female at least from the distance, Definitely not there by force. You saw that person basically getting out and going with very willingly. So whatever the situation is right now, they are running from officers. Apparently they are armed, which makes this even more dangerous when it comes to an end. Westbound is our basic direction. We are on Rosamond right now. I know we have that map up. Every now and then there are other vehicles out here. We have seen some other cars. Again, though, you just got to wonder, that poor guy that was sitting in that truck probably wondering why these people are driving through the desert, just the wrong place at the wrong time, getting carjacked this afternoon. He got out pretty willingly. I'm sure if somebody has a gun to you in the middle of nowhere, you're going to give up your vehicle instead of your life, and then they just took off. There was some off-roading at one time. I don't know if we were live yet, but they were actually driving into the Willow Springs racetrack area, and then made basically a U-turn and then kept on going. Right now, maybe not as adventurous as before, but still clearly as dangerous as these two suspects, armed suspects involved in at least one carjacking, are fleeing from officers on a pretty much, like you said, Jeff, basically a straight road that takes us way out into the desert. Speeds 107 miles an hour. Rosemont Boulevard is the street. Kern County is where we are. Officers from the California Highway Patrol, when this comes to an end, there's only two of them right there, and I know Jeff is very keen to law enforcement techniques, and they only have two officers right there. So when this comes to an end, it's going to be very dangerous for those officers. Again, an armed suspect being pursued this afternoon in the desert.
Hopefully they'll be joined by somebody in Kern County that can supplement those two officers. But you know, Stu, as you were saying,
up to an end.
Oh,
Hard end.
Yeah, I was going to say that straightaway is about to stop being straight, and that's exactly where he is. Pat, I think he's on 170th Street.
It looks like it from the map I'm trying to read. Of course, you're much better at reading maps than I am.
172nd.
We know with my directions. But what was that again,
172.
172?
172nd. 172nd Street. This road basically goes up into where the windmills are, up in the area. Something else, though, that is interesting, just to make it more convoluted, because I say that almost jokingly, because if this was two pursuits, it's very unusual. But one of the vehicles, the license plate came back as a stolen license plate, stolen or missing, quote unquote, and from the Bakersfield area. Definitely the movement for this vehicle has been roughly to the north. We are still continuing north right now. Again, extremely high speeds. Doesn't seem like there's much out here. I'm looking out the front of the helicopter right now, just trying to get an idea where this road is going to take us. We are going up into the windmills up here in this area. And the road, well, the pavement's going to end unless he turns, and he is going to stay on the pavement. But again, he's been off the pavement many times, and with a Kia, for gosh sakes, and nothing against Kia. And now at least he has a four-wheel drive. It appears to be four-wheel drive, marked up as a four-wheel drive pickup truck. Looks like a hard turn. Whoa! Straight into the dirt. Hard. Wow. Whoa! Now that's a heck of a stop. I'd be surprised if that vehicle is going to be able to do anything. Airbag deployed, at least on the passenger side. A lot of smoke right there. Driver's side door open, and it does appear the driver is out right now. Now you got to remember, this guy is armed, and again, kind of wandering over, checking on his partner right there. A little bit of a hug, and but this is definitely coming to an end very, very quickly. There's law enforcement. They're on the roadway. They did get some distance, but there is no place for these two to go. And again, though, what a finale there. That pickup truck, that poor guy that gave up his truck for this. Right now, hands are up. Their demeanor kind of changing up there, but they're not stopping, which just makes this more and more bizarre.
And he's running away from her.
More bizarre that you've got two people. Well, yeah, he's taken off, but he's not running very fast, and he's not going to get very far at all because we're following him, and Stu's overhead. Choppers overhead. Very strange. I was trying to ascertain if there were any rest stops in the area, any eateries that there would possibly be more people stopped at. Don't see that.
You know,
go ahead.
Thank goodness there isn't. You know, we just got one person running around out here in the desert. You know, these get more and more unusual as the days go by. This one definitely going to be in the books for sure. But this guy just basically running and making, it looks like he's making his way back to the truck. He's going in circles. It's amazing that the officers, and I'm not saying this in any kind of bad way, the officers didn't see him circle back, giving up that truck, making his way, looks like, back towards the roadway, actually running towards the officers. I am praying that they did not leave their keys in the vehicle, because this might just be continuing on here. But these the California Highway Patrol, smart cookies in general, and seeing what's going to happen here.
Oh,
no.
This did not happen.
Oh, no. No.
Suspect has now commandeered a CHP car. Those we didn't even see. Those CHP officers must have tried to render aid to the woman who was on her hands and knees, both leaving their cars.
And there's another officer that's just clueless. He doesn't even know.
He doesn't know.
Oh, this is.
Do they know?
Wait a minute. Was that white vehicle a law enforcement vehicle?
That was a CHP vehicle. Definitely.
But he
definitely
drove